Part 4. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 32. Chapter 31. Oh, sir, please come in quickly. Yekong quickly greeted politely and invited Zhang Wuid into the room. Zhang Wuid came because Yekong didn't go to the class recently and came to ask about it. I didn't expect to see Yekong just practicing Yingyu's martial arts. Zhang Wuid is indeed a great Confucianist. At a glance, it is clear that this is a shadow dance that has disappeared for years, and it is naturally amazing. Entering the house with Zhang Wuid, Chen Juniang and Lu Qin went out after seeing the ceremony. Yekong asked, "Sir, this martial art comes from a jade pendant. That jade is called shadow jade. I don't know what the shadow dance with Mr. said." Zhang Wuid's dead face laughed with a rare smile, and said, "Thanks to the old man's reading books in the past, I really can't answer you for another person. There are some things that few people know. This shadow dance is also called shadow martial arts. It is not only a profound martial arts skill, but also a beautiful and touching dance, created by the extinct Shadow Clan." Shadow Clan, Yekong had heard from Lu Jun that night, but Lu Jun couldn't even say he was ugly. Yes. Shadow Clan. According to legend, the people of this Shadow Clan are all handsome men and women, all beautiful and charming, and everyone loves life and loves music, which has created such a moving shadow dance. Yekong asked, "The people of this shadow family must have a good life. After all, people who love music should be kind." Zhang Wuid nodded, "You are right, the character of the Shadow Clan is too kind, very hot-blooded, and more emotional. When he is happy, he sings with his sword, when he is angry, he pulls his sword out of anger, even if it is not his job, he sees, but in the meantime, you will fight with each other. Okay. When you are happy, you sing with the sword, and when you are not angry, you pull out the sword." Yekong nodded. "This character is a bit like me, a 7-foot man. It should be so." Zhang Wuid shook his head, "Not good, this kind of character will suffer in this continent, and the Shadow Clan is an example." He then slowly began to tell, "The Angolan people are now called Inan, and the Wu people are also Wu. Actually, more than 100,000 years ago, we were all one ethnic group, called the Bay ethnic group." "Oh? Northern people?" "Yes, the Baizu, because we are all from the Kangbei continent, collectively called the Baizu." Yekong was startled, "Is there really a Kangbei continent?" Zhang Wuid nodded, "If there is a south, there will be a north." He recalled what was recorded in the book, and then he said, "More than 100,000 years ago, the northern people lived in the Kangbei continent, and the Kangnan continent was the Ying clan. In the world, the two continents are north-south connected, and it is also very prosperous. Who knows that the Kangbei continent was suddenly plagued? According to the ancient books, the Kangbei continent was suddenly invaded by the demons. Although the people of China have the ability to compete, they cannot unite, they all want to save their strength, and they are defeated individually. To escape the war, a large number of northerners moved south. At the end, the Kangbei continent was occupied by the demons, but the northern factions lost their fighting spirit and came to the Kangnan continent to occupy a place and did not attempt to return to their hometowns. After the fall of the Kangbei continent, the fire broke out along the north-south channel. The Shadow Clan set off a case and organized a large number of warriors and demons fighting. After several fierce battles, the demons were blocked in the north-south channel. In order to prevent the demon from going south again, in the end, the major factions decided to block the north-south passage. Countless ancient monks jointly launched anti-celestial powers to permanently isolate the north and south continents. From then on, the two continents of Kangnan and Kangbei were no longer connected. Settled in the Kangnan continent. After listening to the air, Yekong understood, originally, the Shadow Clan is the aboriginal people of the Kangnan continent, and we are all foreign immigrants. Why did the Shadow Clan perish? According to future generations' speculations, during the war in ancient times, the Shadow clan suffered too much death and injury, and their population base was small and their reproduction ability was weak. After the war, they slowly withered and gradually disappeared, Zhang Wuid replied. Ye Kong was a little unbelievable. No matter how few people control a continent, is it so easy to die? Zhang Wuid shook his head helplessly. Since more than 100,000 years, ancient books have been handed down, and it is strange that all ancient books about the extinction of the Shadow clan are unknown. Zhang Wuid sighed with a big sleeve. These have become dusty. History, who knows what happened then? Ye Kong sighed. In that era of catastrophe, how much blood and fire confrontation should have occurred, and the Shadow clan kept their peace with one's own strength, how much sacrifice should be made, but the result of the extermination. No one remembers them until now. It's not worth it? The King clan is also for their own sake. If they do not resist, the Kangnan continent will fall. Ye Kong shook his head. Sir, I don't think so. No matter who they are for, they can stand upright at the moment of life and death and sacrifice themselves to protect others. This is a real hero. People should not forget them. You think so? My husband is very pleased. Zhang Wuid nodded approvingly. But this character will suffer a lot now. All the people in Kangnan mainland are wise to protect themselves. They just want to live comfortably and comfortably. Live, now that you have embarked on the road of cultivation, you must persist in cultivating yourself and improve yourself, so you don't have to repeat the same path as the Shadow clan. Ye Kong's eyes widened. He didn't tell Zhang Wuid about his cultivation, but the other party knew it. Zhang Wuid said with a smile, looking at the movements of your shadow dance just now, those volleying movements back and forth in the air, how can you do it if you are not an immortal? Mister, please also keep secret for me. Ye Kong scratched his head and smiled. Zhang Wuid said, confidentiality is fine, but you should also keep a low profile. A casual repair is very dangerous. I used to hear about murders and treasures. Ye Kong laughed indifferently. I don't have any farts, and they won't find me if they want to win. Zhang Wuid scolded, confused. I heard that those who cultivate magic are doing their jobs every day. How can you be so careless if you are a fairy? Ye Kong was shocked. Zhang Wuid's words reminded him that he was not a poor man and no one remembered. Compared with mortals, his body and the skills he cultivated were all good materials for others to cultivate. Even Fanjiji might be working on his own idea. Sir, I was wrong. Ye Kong made a sincere gift to Zhang Wuid. Zhang Wuid waved his hand to get him up and continued to teach. Low key is needed, but Sir wants you not to be too selfish and ruthless. Although Xianxia is ruthless and cruel, you should shoot when you should, let go when you should let go. Immortals, they are immortals. After Zhang Wuid finished speaking, looking out the window, a gust of wind blew his pale hair, and wondering what he thought of, he suddenly sighed. I know, you must grasp a degree. Ye Kong nodded, looking at Zhang Wuid's stunned expression. Ye Kong suddenly remembered the last time he talked with Ye Wei about Zhang Wuid, so he asked again, Sir, you have too many things, why are they so familiar? Zhang Wuid opened his eyes and stared down at Ye Kongdeo. What? Do you doubt that I am an immortalist? I said that even if I have the qualifications, I am not an immortalist. Then I'm surprised. Why is this attitude, sir? It seems that I don't like immortals very much, and I don't like all immortals. Do all the immortals have enemies with you? Zhang Wuid waved his hand and didn't want to mention more. Don't inquire about this. I don't want to say. In short, I don't like the cultivation of immortals, because they are too ruthless. Except for the promotion of the realm, there is nothing in the world that can move them. Even if it is flesh and blood, you can ignore it. Xianxia finally became a beast. It is really evil. Ye Kong didn't know who Zhang Wuid was talking about, and it was not easy for him to intervene. In his mind, it must have something to do with Zhang Wuid's murder. Sir, you said just now that this shadow dance is the martial arts of the Shadow Clan. Is it that the Shadow Clan uses martial arts to deal with the demons and demons? The immortals of the northern tribe cannot cope with the demons, is this martial arts okay? Yekong transferred the topic said. Zhang Wuid laughed, I'm neither an immortalist nor a martial arts master, how do I know? But the book records that during the war, the sky people danced and fought, making people feel like a very large dance, so I guess, the Shadow Clan uses shadow dance to fight against demons. It turned out to be this way. It seems that the power of shadow dance is not less than a practice of immortality, but why I still don't feel that shadow dance can deal with the immortal. Yekong lost his thoughts. Zhang Wuid also thought about it and said, according to legend, the movie clan has to be matched by someone with a flute or drum at the rear. This is martial arts and dance, and it will definitely increase strength with music. Zhang Wuid laughed and stood up. It's not early, my husband is going back now. I wanted to let you go to class more. Now it seems that you still practice at home quietly. Remember, when the shadow dance is done, you must call your husband. Appreciate it once. Sir, please rest assured that you will be invited to watch it at that time. Yekong sent Zhang Wuid out of the courtyard, and he couldn't wait to start practicing shadow dance with the music. Although the music of the Shadow Clan had long been lost, Yekong replaced it with the music of the earth, while singing silently in his heart, while dancing with the music. Soon, he was immersed in music and shadow dance. Brother Yekong, I think you look the same this time and now, but it feels completely different. Think carefully, you can't tell the difference. Lu Qin, who has been watching Yekong's shadow dance, frowned. Haha, it's because the songs I sing in my heart are different when dancing. Yekong was happy that he had discovered again. The shadow dance was really extraordinary. With the reminder of Zhang Wuid, he found that with different music, shadow dance has actually changed differently. Dancing is good looking, but it is not a livelihood. Empty, you still have to study poetry. With the gentleman. Chen Juniang walked out of the house with scissors. The Kangnan mainland is discriminatory against singers and dancers. The woman is despised by others. If she is obsessed with these things, she will be described as a plaything, and she will not want her son to indulge in singing and dancing. Mother, you don't understand. This is both dance and martial arts, or a very superb martial art. Chen Juniang smiled. Mother just reminded you that the general won't agree with you dancing to others. I'll sharpen my scissors. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 33. Chapter 32. Epiphany. Zioken, you know Nandu is popular these days. Well, what kind of music do you like to sing? You come and sing, I come to dance. Yekong wanted to find a piece of music that can make shadow dance to the extreme. After thinking about it for a long time, Lu Qin said, will I sing a little cabbage for you? Yekong was about to faint. I still teach you cabbage, I want you to sing songs from your Kangnan continent. The entertainment activities in the Kangnan mainland are extremely poor. Those songs and dances are not something ordinary people can enjoy. Lu Qin was so anxious that he cried. In the end, he only said, well, I sing a laundry song. This is what I listen to at the well. The woman sang while washing clothes. Clothing clothes. My sister is busy doing laundry. Brother walking around. Go home and make up the crotch. Go home and make up the crotch. Yekong fainted. What kind of laundry song? Folk yellow minor, not suitable for children. Who are these laundry people? I don't sing anymore. I will teach you all I can. Yekong had no choice but to shake his head. This Kangnan continent is really a tragedy. The poor 14-year-old girl couldn't even sing a song. As I was talking, the sound of scissor sharpening over there passed, interrupting Yekong's thoughts. He couldn't even hum in his heart. Forget it, Zioken, I'll teach you how to draw. Yekong Gong wanted to go back to the house with Lu Qin. But his heart moved suddenly, and he stopped, and danced with the sound of the sharpening knife. I see. It's the rhythm. It's the rhythm that determines the movement of the shadow dance. Different rhythms have different dances, and the same shadow dance follows different rhythms, and there is also ever-changing development. The shadow dance is not great or not great, only if it matches the current rhythm. When Chen Juniang accidentally sharpened the scissors, Ye Kong realized the inner principle of the shadow dance. At the moment of Dao, he clearly felt that there were subtle changes in the sea of Qi. To break through. Mother, Ziokin, I'm back home, don't call me big things. Ye Kong quickly ran back to his house, bolted the door, quickly sat cross-legged on the bed, adjusted his meditation, and guided Reiki to run on all limbs stand up. In fact, the cultivation of immortals is also the process of enlightenment. Generally speaking, everyone draws on the aura and waits for the aura to reach a certain amount, changing from quantity to qualitative change, and raising the level. Ye Kong today is called Epiphany. With his sudden understanding of heaven, he promotes his spirit to achieve qualitative change through the improvement of his state of mind. These 5 elements of ascension are not generally slow to practice. If it were not for his sudden epiphany, it would be impossible to enter the second level of gas refining in 2 years. I do not know how long. Ye Kong finally awoke from the state of meditation. From the first layer of refining to the second layer of refining, he needs a lot of auras, so this meditation is his longest time, a full 5 days. He felt the expansion of Ki, and felt that he absorbed the refining aura faster. 2 years, the second layer of gas refining. I don't know if the speed is fast or slow. Ye Kong opened his eyes and found that it was midnight again, and moonlight sprinkled Qinghui from the torn window on the table. Mother might be in a hurry. Ye Kong quickly got out of bed, opened the door, and quickly came to the next room. Chen Juniang fell asleep sitting beside the bed, her shoes were not taken off, and a small oil lamp had burned to the edge of exhaustion, and only the mung bean-like flame was lingering. Well, you sleep comfortably, what do I have to worry about? Ye Kong's heart hurt, guessing that Chen Juniang had been sleeping like this for about 5 days. He suddenly felt that it was no wonder that those monks had to go to the retreat in the old mountains in the deep mountains. One was to worry about people disturbing them, and the other was to worry about such unfounded fears. He will practice meditation for a longer time in the future, and he doesn't know how to keep his mother from worrying. But who wants to leave home? Who cares for the aging mother? Heaven is ruthless. No wonder that, from the beginning of cultivation, all emotions must be cut off, in order to have no disregard. Although Ye Kong thought so, he would rather practice slowly, without leaving his aging mother. Gently helped Chen Juniang take off her shoes, laid her down, covered her with a quilt, and then Ye Kong blew out the lights and grabbed a few dry heads to return to her house. Slow down slowly. If you practice slowly. Ye Kong frowned and frowned. Although he would rather practice slowly, the real problems are still before him. First of all, the Reiki of the southern capital is too thin. Why are the Xianxianists all in the famous mountains and rivers? Because there are Reikis and sufficient auras. The quantity and activity of Reiki are closely related to the speed of cultivation. At present, the second layer of gas refining, the southern capital is still barely okay. If you come to the third and fourth layers of gas refining, you must leave home. Another problem is that you cannot be disturbed during meditation, so those monks like to find an unmanned cave to retreat. Some breakthroughs also require people to protect the law. Practicing like Ye Kong is very dangerous, especially when he breaks through. His body is the most vulnerable. In the past 5 days, if someone interrupts, the breakthrough will fail, and the aura will be injured in the worst. The higher the skill, the more severe the injury. It seems I will leave here one day sooner or later. Ye Kong exhaled a long breath, then shook his head. He did not want to leave Chen Juniang, but he must leave later, although he decided to support the Lu family brothers to gain some influence in the southern capital to let them take care of the old mother. But after he left, the old mother must be very lonely. Actually, Xiaoqin is very nice to accompany the old woman. Ye Kong said to himself again, he is not a fluffy guy, and he has rich experience of picking up girls on earth, so he knows Lu Qin's feelings for him. However, he felt that he was too selfish. If he later married Lu Qin and left, his wife would be accompanied, but wouldn't Lu Qin keep himself alive? Maybe these problems are not a problem for people in the Kangnan continent. You can live comfortably and care about others being happy. After all, Laozi is not from the Kangnan continent. Ye Kong finished eating his and sighed, no longer tangled in these tedious things. Sitting cross-legged on the shop floor again, he successfully broke through the second layer of refining gas. Will the enchantments open a whole new page? There was some excitement and some nervousness in his heart. At the first layer of refining, he had already opened all the paper symbols. If he could open them again, then he would see the magic symbols. The magic charm is the most effective weapon in the Kangnan continent. Ye Kong will not have a spell until now. If there is a magic charm in hand, it is not a problem at all. Soon after, a cheer came from Ye Kong's heart, it's open. Laozi will never be afraid of anyone in the future. Looking at the 3 magic runes that first came into his eyes, an excitement surged from the bottom of his heart, and Ye Kong could hardly even laugh out loud. Fireball Curse, a lower-level magic charm of fire quality, can emit a fist-sized fireball, the flame lasts. Groundthorn Curse, low-grade magic charm of earth quality, you can pierce a sharp ground spear from the ground. The power is huge, and it is invincible. Golden Amulet, a metallic low-level magic charm, is used for defense. After application, the whole body emits golden light. The sword and gun do not invade, and the spells of the same level cannot be broken. The duration is determined by the caster's mana. His fairy is stupid. Too great. However, Ye Kong didn't feel happy for a long time and found out that this amulet was not easy to make. The so-called magic charms are spells written in aura. They are divided into lower, middle, upper, and best by virtue of their aura content. Each aspect can be subdivided into low, middle, and high ranks. Spell charms are classified by effect and attack type. They are mostly called spells. When used, they are matched with spells and their power is fixed, regardless of the strength of the caster. The defensive type is called a rune. When it is used, the rune is matched with the spell gesture, and the defensive effect is fixed, but the duration can be maintained with the applicator's spiritual strength. Auxiliary type, mainly all kinds of runes and accelerating characters. Special type. The production of magical charms must be matched with the corresponding rune papers. The lower level and lower level runes also need the lower level rune papers. The higher level rune papers can make lower level runes. Otherwise, the rune papers cannot withstand the corresponding spiritual power and are difficult to form. For the production of low-grade low-level charms, take a piece of corresponding rune paper, unfold it, and dip the low-level spiritual grass juice, or the same level of beast blood, with the psychic charm, and use the attributes of the magic to release the aura of the corresponding attributes. Reiki is used to draw the pen, as shown in the picture. It can be done. When the sign is, it is required to have no thoughts in one mind. Ye Kong couldn't stand it anymore. Dare to use this pendant paper and pen and ink, are not ordinary things, but where can he find the lower grade rune paper, as well as the psychic rune pen, lower level low order beast blood? God. The last time Lu Changqing hit a wounded iron-hide cow was badly damaged. It is still a spiritless beast without quality. If you go to kill a low-level spirit beast yourself, it is almost the same as suicide. It seems that for the time being, it is impossible to make magic charms. After knowing the fangxi of the immortal, it is good to buy these charm materials. Yekergang's fiery heart cooled down again. However, since it is impossible to make amulet for the time being, it is good to be familiar with the pattern of the amulet, which is very beneficial to the success rate of the amulet in the future. Ye Kong couldn't help but marvel at the current 3 amulet patterns. The painting method of this amulet is completely different from that of paper amulet, and its structure is completely different. The structure of the yellow paper amulet is the amulet head, amulet, and amulet. The emphasis is on gallbladder, and the content is mainly graphics and Chinese like Tianchu. But the magic charm is completely different. It does not distinguish between the structure of the upper and lower, is a square. Complicated squares connected by countless strokes and lines, it is impossible to see what graphics are in them, and they have nothing to do with words. The image is no different from a square integrated circuit board. Ye Kong thinks that the circuit board analogy is still very accurate. Some strokes are paths and some strokes are closed circuits. They are very complicated and complicated. Reiki flows like current in them, and it will inevitably produce powerful effects when running. It seems that this amulet cannot be changed arbitrarily, which contains intricate rules. The creation of amulets must not be the Kangnan continent or the earth. This is a civilization that contains science and mysterious energy. Earth and Kangnan continent. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 34. Chapter 33 Second Floor. Brother Ye Kong, are you awake? If you don't wake up for 5 days, it's really scary. As soon as the morning dawned, Lu Qin came over in worry. Relax, I'm just practicing. Maybe you have to meditate longer, so don't worry about it blindly. Ye Kong was sitting at the table, but he was upset in his heart. It was only 5 days. If he sits for a month, it will be a month. They don't know what to worry about. Yeah, what if I do eat or drink for 5 days? I'm starving to death. Don't do this in the future, it's weird, Chen Juniang said while doing embroidery. I am really worried and chaotic. Ye Kong smiled bitterly. Mother, Xiaokan, you do understand. I am cultivating, absorbing the heaven and earth aura. It's nothing if I do eat or drink for a few days. When I practice to the next level, I can break the valley. Does Pigo know? What is not S? Xiaokan is still here, don't talk nonsense, there is no door on the mouth. Chen Juniang threw a grimace. Ye Kong was about to faint. Break the valley, just don't need to eat or drink. Isn't that really immortal? I'm Xiaoxian originally. It's strange, but don't tell others, otherwise it will bring my life danger. Ye Kong had no choice but to explain to them. It's good to let Chen Juniang know he's practicing immortality, at least don't have to worry about it, and some precautions can make her understand. It's not that Wan Xian really said that your qualifications are ridiculous. How can you cultivate the immortal again? Chen Juniang heard that her son was practicing the immortal, and naturally asked again. Ye Kong managed to explain to her, and returned to his room. Lu Qin walked in with his head lowered again. He had something to say and couldn't say. After a short while, he said, Brother Ye Kong, can you cultivate it? Ye Kong looked at her and slowly shook his head. Xiaokan, you also heard me say that cultivation requires immigration. If you can't sense the aura, how can you cultivate it? Lu Qin bowed his head in frustration, and bit the lip of his beauty again. Ye Kong couldn't bear to look at her like this, and laughed. It doesn't matter if you don't cultivate the immortals. You can practice shadow dance well and practice shadow dance well. You can also punish Yang Yangshan and protect your family. Oh, and I can also teach you how to draw a rune. This rune is similar to Xianfa. Ye Kong suddenly thought that since the amulet doesn't need aura at all, can mortals learn it? Since mortals on the earth can draw symbols, can mortals in the Kangnan continent be able to? If Lu Qin learns, she can also protect her mother by going out to practice by herself. Amulet? Is that what you used to help my mother to heal? Lu Qin heard, her eyes brightened. Yeah, that's called Mingmu Run, which can heal people's eyes. There are still many runes, such as Heart Rune, Peace Rune, Malaria Rune, and Prenatal Rune. You can still treat people if you learn. Tire care. Yekong laughed. It's the symbol used by women when they have children. Brother Yekong. Say these embarrassing things again, Lu Qin shouted blushingly. What's the embarrassment here? Come and start learning now. Yekong had Xiao Lucan stand at the table, then he stood behind Lu Qin, grasping Lu Qin's little hand with his hand, grasping the fault, stained with tan sand, and taught her how to draw amulets. You see, to do this, you can't pause the pen tip, write it down in one stroke, don't force your arms, your wrists. Holding Lu Qin's soft hand, Yekong talked and wrote, but he suddenly noticed that the little girl was flushed. When you make a charm, you have to be clear-hearted. Although Yekong reminded him, his own heart was completely confused. On a summer morning, the sun had not yet come up, and a breeze blew in quietly from the window lattice. The young girl's fragrance was sucked in, and the few blue silks stroked back and forth on the cheeks, plus Lu Qin's blushing pink cheeks. How could the heart of the teenager not be moved? The beautiful young girl is pregnant. She can hug this nephrite-like body as long as her arms are slightly closed. Yekong's breathing is a bit messy, and Lu Qin's breathing is also chaotic. She has felt Yekong's mood changes, and she holds her breath, as if waiting for something. The spirit was in chaos, and the writing note that was writing turned into a flame, which burned instantly. Look, this is the result of two minds. The book says that you need to bathe and burn incense before drawing amulets. In fact, it is to give the charmer a time to adjust his mentality. Yekong took a breath and eliminated the distractions, Lang Lang recounted. He didn't hug Lu Qin, he knew he wouldn't stay with her for too long, so why bother her love? A girl like Lu Qin is soft outside and tough inside, but she won't change her boyfriend as easily as the girls of the 21st century Earth. Provoke her, she will wait for a lifetime. He didn't want the girl to turn her red hair into white hair when she wanted to wear her eyes. He didn't want to remember a woman while practicing in the wilderness one day, so he just let go. For Lu Qin and for himself, giving up family and friendship may be the price of cultivating immortals. Read a fairy board. Today is not the time to draw a picture, burn a picture. You can trace it as I painted it. Yekong scolded to conceal the ups and downs of his heart, let go of his hands, and looked at the back of Lu Qin, scolding in his heart, I really became Lu Ziawai. This is not the style of Lao Tzu. I would rather kill 1,000 by mistake, and never let go pass one. But another voice said in his heart, did you always remember that a woman is slowly aging and waiting for your return in solitude when you practice in the future? Yekong swiftly closed it. Since he is not a ruthless person, he can't even play it, then he can only practice spiritual peace of mind if he cuts off love early and breaks love. Oh, brother Yekong, my brother said that the brother Fan family would like to invite you to drink in the Tibetan spring house. Lu Qin suddenly interrupted the battle between heaven and man in Yekong. Really? No, the two brothers of the Fan family are not good people, and there is no good feast. Yekong said, in the past 6 months, the brothers of the Fan family have invited several times. He refused. With good intentions. But the person who came to say that Fan Joshi said that it is a great thing that will be of great help to you. You must go, or they will come to Yefu to ask you. Damn. Threatening Lao Tzu, Yekong said angrily, but he muttered in his heart, it seemed that he would not do it, and he didn't know what was good. In the evening, people from the Tibetan spring house came and went. It seems that there are no shortage of rich people in the southern capital. The grandfathers Jinyuwafu went in and out. Those old women were pulling at the door, but they were really rich. That wouldn't bother these women, the real top-card safflower wouldn't stand swaggering outside the door. My son, let the slaves wait for you. My Green Lotus was also the top card of Xianxia Tower. A woman with a thick makeup and a hungry tiger rushed to hug Yekong and let go. These wind dust women's winks are still very accurate. Although Yekong's dress is neat but not rich, it must not be a sum of money. Such guests are just the focus of these second and third line women. Seeing Yekong calm, the dusty woman was busy again. Little boy, look at your face tight, you don't know the price of those red cards. My sister is cheap, as long as you can get 5 or 2 silver discounts, you can have fun, crisp into the bone marrow. Yekong smiled. The fireworks woman in the Kangnan continent is just like the earth. It is very straightforward. When you come up, you can talk about the price, and then you can act. After all, maybe you can sell some. But he didn't come here today, and these women are too messy and willows. Hurry up and shake off the woman's hand and laugh. Sister, I am not an adult yet, and I don't have any money in my pocket. Don't delay now. After Yekong finished speaking, the figure flickered, she got rid of the woman's entanglement, and went into the Tibetan spring house, leaving only that woman to curse alone. Little poor ghost, who wants to play with a red girl without money, go and kill you. Yekong just entered the door of Zhangchunlu, and the long-awaited dragon snake rushed to greet the younger brother, saluting his fists. Master, Master 8, the 2 helpers have been waiting for a long time, please here. Okay, there is labor. Yekong waved a little lightly and followed the younger brother to the 3rd floor of Zhangchun Tower. As soon as the door was pushed, when Yekong walked into the private room of the Fan family's brothers, the fat man Fan Juji came over and smiled. Come on, please. In the past 6 months, the brothers of the Fan family had long been impatient, but they were afraid that Yekong's spiritual power was too shallow, and Fan Juji could not break through, so he had to wait patiently. Who knows, a few days ago, they were in Yefu's eyeliner, saying that Yekong hadn't been out in the house alone for a few days, and didn't eat or drink, which was not available in the past. Fan Juji immediately guessed that Yekong was about to make a breakthrough, and immediately wanted to use the excuse to make an appointment with Yekong to see what happened. At this look, it was found that Yekong really broke through to the 2nd layer of gas refining. Fan Juji was overjoyed, and secretly said that he had good luck. If he absorbed Yekong's spiritual power and broke into the 4th layer of gas refining, he could control the fly sword weapon. You need to know if there is a magic weapon that is very important to the immortal practitioner. It is difficult to kill people by magic alone. However, with the magic weapon, the attack power will rise to a new level. It is also possible to have a battle against those who are in the same period. If the magic weapon is very powerful, it can also make up for the shortcomings of its own realm, and the cultivator who is higher than himself will not lose. If you can succeed, then your own Xianxian road will be smooth. Continue to kill people to win treasure and improve your own cultivation. Wow, I can live forever. Fan Juji thought about happy, while greeting Yekong to eat and drink, while peeping at Yekong constantly with his eyes, the more happy he looked, as if looking at something peerless treasure. Come, try this flying spiny silverfish. This is a rare good-looking product with a very delicious taste. I heard that the fisherman had his son buried in the belly of his fish and caught these 2. Fan Juji was also enthusiastic. Greetings, those greedy eyes kept looking at Yekong. Fan Juji is also excited. His younger brother will get him a furnace stove for the upgrading of the immortal. At that time, he can also enjoy a long life and travel on a flying sword. Yekong was seen with straight hair by the 2 brothers, although he didn't know exactly what they were trying to figure out, but Yekong knew that there was nothing to be diligent about, or to be stolen. If these 2 guys were so polite to themselves, they wouldn't exist. What kind? The fisherman didn't know what to think. In order to catch the flying silverfish to kill his son, Yekong took a bite of fish and said, shaking his head. Fan Juji grinned and smiled. Bachan is a chance encounter. If you knew that there were flying silverfish, maybe he would detour early. Yekong smiled. It's not necessarily. The so-called benefits make Zion faint. Often many people see the benefits first. Under the heavy benefits, they forget to look at the risks. When the fish net is broken, it's too late to regret it. Yekong's remarks have a word to remind the brothers of the Fan family that it is dangerous to start with themselves. Fan Zhuxi knew to himself, but Yekong was a suitable furnace tripod he had rarely encountered. Can Xianxian road go one step further? How can he let go in one move? So he laughed. Ye Daiyu said it is reasonable, but how can he make a lot of money without taking a risk? If everyone according to Ye Daiyu said, how can we taste so delicious? As soon as Yekongli moved, could these two guys start fighting themselves today? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 35. Chapter 34 Invitation. Fan Daiyu, I heard that there are important things coming to me. It is still a good thing, let's talk about it. Yekongli has been alert, his left hand has touched the spell in his sleeve. If it is not right, get Fan Zhulang hostage first. Keep yourself safer at hand. Fan just felt his vigilance, flashed in his small eyes, and immediately replied with a smile, saying, it's really a good thing, Ye Daiyu must have heard it. Oh, Yekong pretended to listen intently, and put his chopsticks in his right hand and touched his sleeve. Fan Zhuju sold a key, and then asked with a smile, I do nt know if Ye Daiyu has been to Fangxi? It is the Fangxi where the immortals communicate with each other and exchange elixir materials. Oh? Where? Yekong's attention was also attracted, saying that it was impossible to not want to go. He opened the magic charm volume, and eagerly wanted to go to Fangxi to buy materials such as charm paper, magic charms, etc., listening to Fanjiji mentioned, of course. Fanjiji was not in a hurry to answer where he saw Yekong's interest was hung up, and then sensationally said, the Fangxi of the immortal, the Jiji went once, all kinds of spells, elixir, magic weapon, and each this kind of material for cultivating immortals you can't think of. Wow, it's really eye-opening. Oh, there are all kinds of cultivating immortal skills and spell recipes. Yekong was unable to move without his heart, and asked again, I wonder if Brother Fan can tell me where. Fanjiji saw that the fish was hooked, so he asked for a moment and said, oh, this position is really hard to say. Nafang City opened only once in 3 months. It will be time to open the market in a few days. You and I should go together. Yekong wanted to go to Fangxi again, and he did not relax his guard against Fan Zhuji. He didn't want to go with this guy, but he didn't go with him. The fat man would never tell himself where Fangxi is. At this point, I can make amulets. If I do nt go, I will remember it. Besides, maybe Fan Zhuxi really wants to harm himself? Seeing Yekong's groaning, Fan just quietly made a look at Fan Zhulang, and said, it's not uncommon to kill and rob treasures in the Xianxian realm, especially in the vicinity of Fang City. I know that people who come to Fang City bring treasures and spirits. So there are a lot of treasure hunters in ambush, and they start to deal with those low-level cultivators who have placed orders. Fan Zhulang also interjected, it would be better for you and the two to go together. Everyone has a look after, as those treasurers see the two, they don't necessarily start. Fan Zhulang said, and then slammed his head to Sue. Everybody ate for a long time, and forgot to call the girl. Haha, Master 8 waited a moment, I'll make some arrangements. Fan Zhulang haha left with a smile. Yekong had wanted to capture him as a hostage at a critical moment, and his whereabouts were empty. Although Yekong was suspicious of others said that he was going to arrange a girl, so he couldn't just inexplicably shoot it. But I have just repaired the immortal, and I have neither a spirit stone nor a treasure in my hand. I go to Fangxi for nothing. Yekong pushed away, but the light of his eyes searched around. Hey, Ye Daiyu's words are bad. Even if you don't buy anything, it's very helpful to see friends at a meeting point. Besides knowing the location, you can go and see Yedao's level of improvement. Fanjuji said everything, but Yekong didn't dare to agree. This guy was so diligent in persuading how there would be good things. In addition, the brothers looked at their own eyes, the kind of greedy, excited, salivating eyes, let people are intimidated. Yekong wanted to refuse, but under his careful attention, he found that he had been surrounded. Although his consciousness could not be released, his keen hearing made him notice that many men's deep and depressed breathing. Yekong Kong was startled, and it turned out to be a hungmen feast. What's more frightening is that when these people gathered around, they didn't even know it. Obviously, the brothers of the Fan family were prepared, and their whole cards and stealth amulets had no effect on Fanjuji. It doesn't seem to agree, otherwise this door won't come out today. In this case, it would be Fandaio's wish to go together at that time. Yekong pretended not to care, and laughed. In fact, I want to go, I'm afraid that we two are not their opponents. Fanjuji heard him agree, and he was overjoyed, and waved, it doesn't matter. Those who rob the treasure are not so profound. As long as we are careful, we should not be in danger. Rely on brother Fan, haha. Yekong agreed, and Fanjuji didn't initiate a secret signal. Later, Fan Julong came in with a few pretty girls. Since he didn't turn his face, Yekong pretended not to know that the other party had an ambush, and the three of them chatted indifferently, as if they were really good brothers. Yekong was also rude, holding the handsome girl named Xiaoying, putting her hands up and down, making up the lessons of these 2 years, and applying the pinching and rubbing methods of the 21st century of the earth to the extreme. The beach muddle is next to Yekong, with a terrible expression. Haha, I didn't expect Yedao to be a middle-class master. It is better to stay in Zhangchunlu after eating. Fanjuji smiled at the impetuous little warbler. That's it, just take her red pill today. Yahalo Road, do good things in your ambush. Don't worry about it. If you change your mind again and again, while Laozi is getting up and running, wouldn't it be bad? Two dear brothers, you don't know anything. In the next practice, you must keep Yuan Yang's body. Jin Dan was afraid that he could only fill his hands with good fortune. Yekong loosened the small warbler and looked for it. An excuse to say no. This excuse is good, Fanjuji is not good at retaining, so he laughed, see you in 3 days, then, yeah, don't be late. Don't worry, I just happened to take 3 days to think about what can be exchanged in the Fang market. Yekong left with a smile. As soon as Yekong left, the faces of the Fan's brothers were suddenly so cold that they waved back the woman. Fan Julong whispered, brother, why not start, and you shouldn't miss it? Fanjuji shook his head. Do not try to start today. There are many eyeliners in this Tibetan Chunlu. If you fight with him, it will inevitably be known to outsiders. Harem will come back to know the small things in the future, and let outsiders know that I am an immortal. Since he promised to go to Fangxi together, it would be better to do it at that time, and he wouldn't even realize it. The venomous light in Fanjuji's eyes flashed away, and he found out the small sword weapon with his hand, admiring it. Fan Julong shook his head in anxiety. The kid is not very old, but he is very cunning and savvy. It is likely that he found us ambush and a slow-moving strategy. What if he doesn't change his mouth after 3 days? Fanjuji snapped the small sword on the table and said coldly, no, then it's no wonder that we are binding Lu's family at that time. We can't catch his ghostly old lady. Fan Julong only nodded, then let him live 3 more days. Yekong walked out of the door of the Tibetan spring house, and a refreshing cool breeze in the midsummer night blew, clearing the mind. I want to start with Laozi, be careful and anxious to break the dead net with you. No, you have to think about it. Yekong did not return to Yefu, but swayed back and forth, walked to no one, put incognito, and saw to a jealous guy followed. What about people? He just came in just now. Hell, it's gone in a flash. Look for it. Ye Kong had already gone into the crowd while stealthily, headed for Lu's home in Qinbei. With the strengthening of Lu Jun and Lu Yi's power in the past 6 months, Ye Kong also has to teach the 21st century B society's means of collecting money, that is, controlling yellow gambling drugs and interfering in the monopoly industry. Borrowed by the poor. With money, the collapsed Lois house can no longer live. Now the Lu family is in a nice large courtyard near Qinbei Avenue. Although it is not comparable to Yefu, it is also a large compound. My brother, old lady, and Lu Qin all have their own houses and they bought a few servants of maidservants. They are rich in the slums of Baikan. Ye Kong did not remove the invisibility. When he came to the door of the Lu family, the invisibility was still valid. He turned around the Lu family to see if anyone was watching the Lu family brothers. Fan Zhuolong didn't take the Lu family brothers seriously. In his opinion, the two brothers had a low level of martial arts, relying on Ye Kong to support them. As long as Ye Kong is settled, it is a matter of minutes to destroy the Lu family brothers. You sent someone to monitor them. Ye Kong turned around and found no dark whistle, so he took out a wall sticker and stuck it on the wall of the Lu family. When Ye Kong passed through the wall, he saw the faint flicker of light on the outer wall of the small gray brick blinking. The rune paper was burned clean. In fact, the yellow paper amulet is still very powerful and very good. As long as it is not correct to the immortal, it is basically invincible, and there is a more important point. Everyone can use a paper amulet. As long as you learn the spell of a paper amulet, mortals can use it freely. Unlike most amulets, they must be motivated. The wall-breaking charm is also one of the commonly used charms. According to legend, Mission Taoist priests used the wall-breaking charm. Although these paper amulets are not comparable to spiritual amulets, they have so many functions that Ye Kong does not dare to pass it on. In addition to Lu Qin, he is not prepared to teach others. Otherwise, if you let the bad-hearted person learn, then it can help you, and the thief is still good. With these spells, you can enter any place, kill and set fire, and bully a woman without leaving a trace. Of course, Ye Kong doesn't have these hobbies. Although he is just a hooligan, he doesn't have BT in his heart, others do'nt mess with him, and he can't commit to killing people. As for women, he never thinks it's boring to force them. It's interesting. Even so, he will not let go of opportunities. After all, he is not a good person, it is not his nature to not play hooligan. Wow, Xiaokan is taking a bath, look first. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 36. Chapter 35 Countermeasures. Ye Kong secretly approached Lu Qin, who was soaking in a wooden bath barrel, and was very excited. Who? The little girl Lu Qin was shocked, and opened her eyes and asked. Ye Kong did not dare to answer the question, and fled in a hurry. After slipping out of Lu Qin's room and coming to Zhengtang, just as Lu Jun and Lu Yi's brothers were all there, Ye Kong lifted the incognito on his forehead, and his figure immediately appeared. Although the two brothers of the Lu family knew that Ye Kong would be invisible, he could see that he appeared out of thin air. Master 8 is so talented that he goes into the sky and is omnipotent. I wait to admire it. 8 masters have a long life, and Xianfa will enjoy it forever. Ye Kong shook his hands, turned the invisibility into a ball of flame, clapped his hands and sat down. Then he said, you two will rectify these useless things now, but if you want to rectify, you also need to tune some other's love. It's a joke that I am omnipotent in heaven, is it a joke that I am not good enough to fly? And you, the millennial king, the 80,000-year-old turtle, Wanchao Wujiang is scolding me, do you know? Lu Jun and Lu Yi were accustomed to scolding him, and he smiled unkindly, sitting down and continuing, Master 8 is high level and reasonable, even if Master 8 scolds people, it is so pleasantly cursed. Yeah, we have to thrive in the scolding of Master 8, like green lotus cauliflower. The curse of Master 8 is soil, water, fertilizer. Okay, well, I'm really afraid of you. Soil moisture, and the big dung will come out. Yekong laughed and yelled a few words, then whispered, I'll tell you something right now. A moment later, Lu Yi looked up and said, Master 8, it's not a good idea for Fan Erfei to invite this man, and he must have won the trick of his brother. Lu Jun groaned for a while and also said, I also feel that Fan Zhouxi is deliberate, but they dared to do it in Zhangchunlu. It seems that even if Master 8 does not go, they will not give up. What can you do? It's better to start in advance and fight with them. Lu Jun and Lu Yi's brothers have completely stood on Yekong's ship. Their current glory and wealth are all provided by Yekong. If Yekong falls down, they will not even be able to return to being a market rascal before, except for one death. There is no other way. Have you done it? Lu Jun shook his head and said, don't talk about Fan Zhiji, just say that Fan Zhuolong is also a martial arts high strength, and his helpers are far better than us, and these days, they are afraid that they are well prepared. Desperate is tantamount to hitting a stone with the egg. Neither this nor that. Can we just sit at home waiting to die? Lu Yi anxiously got up and walked back and forth. Lu Jun, your analysis is very reasonable. Yekong patted Lu Jun applaudingly. A 14-year-old boy patted a man in his 20s and looked very uncoordinated, but none of the three were present. I felt wrong. Yekong's identity, wisdom, and ability far surpassed them. Lu Yi was not photographed, and he was a little dissatisfied. Master 8 is here today, he must already have an idea. Lu Yi was also rare and clever. Haha, Lu Yi is also pretty good. Yekong smiled straight up at the waist, lowered his head again, and three heads leaned together again. Yekong said so. The brothers of the Lu family immediately turned their worries into joy. It's a wonderful plan. The Fan family brothers have been dealt with in one pot, and the southern capital has been ours since then, Lu Yi said with a jump in his eyes. But Lu Jun thought for a while, but frowned. If this is the case, Master 8 still has to go to Fan Zhiji's appointment. In case that Fan Er fat dog jumps off the wall, isn't Master 8 dangerous? Yeah, please ask Master 8 to think of a way to resolve it. Don't take risks. Lu Yi also found that it was wrong. Yekong sneered, how can there be nothing risky in the world? Just figure out that a door must be prevented from being hit by a car. If Fan Zhouxi is desperate, then I can only fight with him. Fan Zhiji is the third layer of gas refining, and the second layer of Yekong gas refining. Although there is a difference, the 5 elements ascendant can say that practicing this basic method can resist 5 levels. Yekong should test it. Is it so magical? The three were talking, and Lu Qin came out after the bath, and just after taking a shower, his face was red and white, which was touching. Brother Yekong is here too. Seeing Yekong, the little girl immediately frowned. Lu Jun and Lu Yi didn't know where the younger sister was thinking, and hurriedly laughed. Today is a beautiful moon. It is a good time to enjoy the moon and enjoy the moon. You two are chatting, and our brother is going to enjoy the poetry of the moon. Yekong laughed angrily. Sun Fairy is stubborn, even the two of you are big and old, and will also appreciate the moon poetry? Not afraid to scare the moon to urinate pants. Lu Yi was stunned. Master 8, although you told us all day to be cultural, but I found out that the one without culture is your own. Lu Qin watched them yell at each other, with a smile on their faces, and when the two brothers squeezed their eyes to run away, her face turned redder and she bowed her head. Although Yekong can peek at her to take a bath, she is afraid to provoke her. After all, the road to immortality is difficult and lonely, and no thoughts can be tolerated. What's more, fairy life is much longer than mortals. No good results. Unless it is the kind of fairy road that ends and knows that it is hopeless to break through, like Wang Suan real person, it does not matter. It is not a problem to marry some mortal women and have some children. He does not need to practice anyway. But Yekongxian road has just begun, How can you set obstacles for yourself? With this in mind, Yekong's face turned right and he said, Xiao Qin, you are here. Today I will teach you the spells of invisibility and wall-penetrating amulets. Learn them well, and you can use them in 3 days. Then your brother and my life are in your hands. The hardest part of the paper amulet is the charm. It is not difficult to use it. As long as the amulet matches the spell, anyone can cast it. After a while, Lu Qin learned it. Is this invisible? You can't see me? But I still see myself for the first time. Lu Qin used the fairy's spell and was dying with excitement. There were also many problems. Yekong nodded with satisfaction. You are already invisible, and I can't see you, except for the celestial eye vision technique. Mortals can't see you, don't believe you look in the mirror yourself. But the little girl didn't speak for a long time. Yekong didn't know if she was out, just wanted to ask, and suddenly heard the little girl ask behind her back, is brother Yekong who came to our house just now in stealth? Yekong nodded, yeah. After saying that I knew it was wrong, I felt that Lu Qin's frustrated little fist came. Rogue. Yekong didn't move, took a pink punch, he smiled, Rogue is your brother, I'm a hooligan, I'm much higher than him. Anyway, you are shameless. Indecent. Eyes are sore. Lu Qin was so ashamed that this guy was so bad that he had all been stripped off and looked at him. However, there was a secret joy in her heart. If brother Yekong really didn't want to look at her and ignore her, that would make her sad. After a while, Yekong took her little hand and said, I'll hold you, otherwise I don't know where you are. After a pause, he took out another piece of rune paper. This is a wall-breaking sign. Come, I will teach you to use it. Lu Qin is a smart girl. After a while, she has become proficient in playing several types of spells. Yekong has drawn a lot in the past 6 months. Now her success rate is much higher, and it is also a waste for her. You're waiting for a while, I'll come and go. Yekong took Lu Qin to the backyard, and then he left with Zhang Zhang's invisibility. When he was half resident, Yekong led a dog through the wall and came in. Stealth. Yekong tied the dog to a big poplar and ordered Lu Qin. Okay. Use fixed runes, Yekong said again. Yes, Lu Qin muttered the spell, and a note was then pasted on the dog's head. The dog did not hum, his legs were soft, and he fell on the grass, a breeze blowing brown dog hair. Yekong's figure appeared, and he caught a cold dagger in his hand, slay it with a knife. Lu Qin didn't expect Yekong to give this order, he couldn't move, he listened to Yekong, you know, the plan after 3 days, you are the most important part. Murder is likely to happen, and not to mention a dog. Lu Qin reached for the dagger, but still hesitated. Yekong angered, kill it. If you don't kill it, it will kill you. If you don't kill it, Lu Jun and Lu Yi will be killed. Without killing it, your brother Yekong will have to die. After this roar came out, Lu Qin finally pounced on it, piercing the dog's neck fiercely, and bright red blood spewed down the dagger. Later, Lu Qin caressed her undulating chest, stood up, and looked at the dog lying in the pool of blood. Her little hand could not help shaking, but there was a voice in her heart saying, Brother Yekong, for you, Xiao can dare to do anything. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 37. Chapter 36. Departure. 3 days later, at the gate of Nanjing. Because the situation of the Anglo and the barbarians was gradually tense, the inspection of entering and leaving the city in the south was also stricter. The soldiers with red rifles were divided into several teams to check the luggage of the people entering and leaving the city. On the city's head, a row of bows and arrows were unceremonious. Pointing down, when the wind blows, it will shoot him with a lot of holes. A herbal tea shop by the city gate, a white and fat middle-aged man, was sitting in front of a wooden table with a golden knife, small green beans, and looking at the end of the blue slate street. Not far away, several passing vendors were quietly discussing, that is the second gang leader of the Dragon and Snake gang, Xianxia, so fat, it is said that his martial arts are high and strong. Is it true? Who knows? But the fat man's time on the couch will not work. The fat bird is short. Last time I heard that their brothers were serving a little peach in Tibet Chunlu, so that little girl could barely eat, haha. Don't you die? Xianxia is a dominator of the southern capital. Let's go quickly. As soon as a few vendors left, Xianxia's face flashed angrily. He is a 3-layer cultivator of qi. Although he has been able to release his knowledge, he is also well intelligible. Several vendors talked to him and he heard everything. Go, follow, write down the address, don't rush, and wait for me to come back. I will be on their cousin wife let them see the master. I can do it in the end, Xianxia said to his classmate. Let's go to both, asked the younger brother. Go all, let's go, Xianxia urged impatiently. Go back to the gang when you're done, tell the boss, let him rest assured, and wait for the good news at home. Yes, the two brothers rushed away with a punch. Not long after, I saw a horse riding slowly on the blue stone slab road, not too slow, and immediately a young boy in a blue blouse covered a piece of sunshine with a bamboo bucket and a handsome young face. 8 Master Ye is a believer and he is very punctual. Xianxia put down the tea bowl and greeted quickly. This made the pedestrians in the past look at the young boy in surprise. Who is this? They asked the Dragon and Snake to help the two princes. Oh, Brother Fan is already here. I thought time was too late, forgive me. Yekong smiled very politely and patted his horse to speed up. It's better to come early than you happen. Don't get off the horse, let's get out of town. Don't look at Xianxia's fatness. This horse's cleanliness shows that he has extraordinary skill. Yes, Brother Fan, please. The two horses approached the gate of the city side by side. The goalkeeper did not dare to offend Xianxia. Hearing that the young man was the 8th son of Lord Harem, he did not dare to ask for an inspection. Antlers were rejected and the two were released from the city. Yedayu, I don't know how you ride. The time is tight. It is better that we speed up and catch some roads as soon as possible. As soon as he was out of town, Xianxia couldn't wait to rush. The closer you are to success, the more excited you can't wait to burn your heart. Human nature is so, Xianxia is no exception. He waited for 20 years and couldn't wait. He was anxious to in Yekong's skill and break through the 4th layer of gas refining. Then he could use a small sword weapon. Already. I do know if it's powerful? Can you fly on foot? Can it be bigger? How many people can kill at one time? Xianxia was so anxious in his heart that he just bought a new mobile phone, but found that the battery had no ordinary electricity and was resistant to charging. Yekong laughed. Brother Fan, it's hard for my brother to get out of the door. This is the first time this horse has been riding. It is really unpleasant. Damn, horses can't ride fast, you might as well die. Xianxia cursed in his heart, but there was nothing he could do. The two rode on the horse, shaking. Yekong was the first time out of the southern capital, and saw a green plain in front of him, a yellow-brown dirt road straight up into the distance. At the end of the line of sight, there were towering mountains in the dim, towering into cloud. Wow, that mountain is so high, I don't know what it is, Yekong asked in surprise. It's a 100,000 mountain. It looks close. In fact, it's far away. The barbarians live in the mountain. Outside the 100,000 mountain, there is endless flood. Xianxia answered weakly. Wow! Are all the grass on this grassland curious? Xianxia didn't finish talking. Yekong was surprised again. What's so strange? Isn't just soap grass for washing clothes? Many people buy it at the market. In fact, they pick it casually outside the city, and further away is candle grass. There is star grass over there. It seems bright at night. Stars. Wow. Brother Fan, what kind of animal is that in front of him, so powerful? Wow. That big tree looks like a fire. Wow. Fan Judge, he is almost going crazy. This kid seems really a fool. Is this all common sense? Wow, it looks like a frog. Any fuss is annoying, I just have to hurry to the place and get the kid. Not to mention, this is the first time that Yekong has been an eye-opener since he was out of the city. He used to live in Nandu City. He thought that the Kangnan continent was similar to the ancient times of the earth. The scenery of the Kangnan continent is even more refreshing. If it wasn't for the thought of dealing with Fanjiji, Yekong might have regarded himself as a tourist. After riding the horse for half an hour, Fanjiji stunned the horse and walked down the official road. Is Fang City over there? Yekong asked, pretending not to have any thought. The city of Fang is still far away. Like this, it won't be possible all day long. I'm going to take you through the short road. You can take a break early when you arrive, Fanjiji said with a smile. Oh, Brother Fan really has a warm heart. Ye was really blind before. He went to assassinate the two elder brothers and asked Brother Fan not to blame. Haha, Fanjiji laughed 3 times and said, Yedayu, there are benefits you can't think of following Jiji. The two went on for a while and had already walked across the grassland. The surrounding area was sparsely crowded. Fanjozu raised his horse again, with his legs clipped, and entered the mangrove forest first. Yekong didn't ask much, then followed closely, and asked again in his mouth, Brother Fan, what is your waist? Fanjiji patted the black-gray storage bag hanging on his waist, and laughed, Yedayu doesn't know this? This is a storage bag. Don't look at him small, the space inside is quite large, even if you put it in, it is more than enough. This is a must-have for every cultivator. Those rich cultivators also have storage bracelets. That space is even larger. I heard that there are also artifacts for storage rings. A ring can hold a mountain. Yekong was amazed. The storage ring is so powerful? It must be very rare, right? Fanjiji said proudly, that's for sure. If it weren't for the Yuanying master monk, bringing a storage ring would cause him to be killed. That's the case, it's really a long time to be with Brother Fan. Yekong nodded in a hurry. Fanjiji smiled sarcastically and asked, Yedayu, did your master Wangsuan really tell you this? Why don't you seem to understand anything? Yekong blushed for a while. I said, Brother Fan isn't strange. Actually, Wan Xian really refused to accept me as a disciple that day. I just happened to have a low-level practice of cultivating immortals. Then I practiced it myself. Brother, mention it? Haha, let's talk. Fanjiji listened to the comfort in his heart. The actual situation had already been investigated clearly, but now Yekong told him personally that it was different, indicating that the boy had really taken him as a friend. Then when you suddenly start to have trouble, it will be easier. Fanjiji was originally worried that the boy was shrewd and ingenious, and it would cost him a bit of work, but it still seems very coquettish. Hurry up, we are going through this wood at noon. There may be robbers in the wood. It will be safe by the plain in front. Oh, Yekong nodded, and the two horses walked back to the deep woods. Although Fanjiji said that it was a plain in front, it was getting darker as he walked away. The forest was like the night. The big red trees were long gone, replaced by huge, treeless trees with crowns soaring into the clouds. There are not many such trees on the earth, but there are as many ox hairs here. There is no watch in the Kangnan continent, and in the woods of Hisensen, I don't know how long it has been. Brother Fan, are you still far away? Yekong asked in fear. It's going to be plain soon. Fanjiji was even more proud. The boy thought he had a great skill, but he was just a little boy. I didn't know how long, but finally saw a ray of light in the distance from the woods. Fanju Snake said that it was the front, go there and rest for a while, and rushed over. Yekong followed, and found that this is a small flat land surrounded by woods. It is not a plain at all, it is just an open space in the woods. The open space is full of wild grass, and the grass is tall with horse legs. In the center of the open space, there is a collapsed stone pavilion. The two men tied the horse to a small tree, and they came to the collapsed little stone pavilion, took a clean stone, and sat down, taking out food and water. Yedayu, in fact, this is where I got the cultivation method. For more than 2 decades, Fanjiji said with a bite of the jerky, I thought your father hadn't brought a large army, and there was no southern capital. This place is under the jurisdiction of the barbarians. My brother and I are slaves of barbarians. One day and night I escaped out of chaos. There was no moon that day, it was dark everywhere, and there were chasers behind. I fled here without any choice, and the chasers followed. I was tired and hungry. There was no place to escape. It's also called pitiful seeing. In panic, I found that there is a cave under the stone pavilion, and I hurriedly hid in. Fanjiji said with a smile, who knows how to hide, not only makes me escape the chase, but also I got the relic of a barbarian monk, which made me embark on this path. Fanjiji finished his emotion and smiled, Yedayu, do you want to see where Jiji entered the ferry road? Yekong probably understood why Fanjushi ran so far before he started. The 8 achievements are because there is a cave here. If you kill yourself, you can just enter the cave and spend time refining. No one disturbs it, and no one finds it. Local. Yekong pretended to be timid, brother Fan, I'm timid, Hessian in the hole, go to yourself. Fanjus was also reluctant, and laughed, then we will take a rest after eating, so we can go on the road, I will go for a little solution. Oh, Yekong nodded. Fanjija got up and walked to the back of Yekong. Looking back, the boy was eating his steamed bun without any precaution, so let's do it. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 38. Chapter 37 Fighting. Fanjiji didn't want Yekong's life to be hit with a single blow. His purpose was to save Yekong's chi from the sea. An immortal practitioner in the gas refining period has neither Dan nor babies. As soon as he dies, the aura in Ki will immediately disappear. Fanjiji didn't want to do anything harmful to himself, he had long thought about countermeasures. I saw him standing in the grass, his thick lips flipped, and silently meditated on the formula of sandblasting. His 5 fingers also gestured and pointed at Yekong. Fanjuji thought very well, performed sandblasting on Yekong, trapped him, and stopped after trapping him. But at a critical moment, Fanjushi suddenly discovered that the silly boy suddenly dropped the jerky and turned back to smile at him with a sarcasm, as if he had already learned his mind. Ignore him. Go ahead, you're done in 1 sentence. Fanjuji thought so. But how could Yekong let him continue, pretending to be stupid for half a day, just to lower the opponent's defense and find opportunities? Yekong moved as soon as he could, without giving the other party time to think, grabbing a large number of spells from his sleeve and throwing them away, and he didn't know if the paper amulets would work for the cultivator. Blind runes, bleeding runes, fixing runes, and even fetal runes, dozens of spells, with firelight, burning in the air, smashed towards Fanjiji without a face and face, the effect is unknown, but the momentum is amazing. Fanjiji didn't know what spell it was. He was taken aback. Even if these are the most basic fireball skills, he can be burned to ashes. In fact, quicksand has become one more sentence, but quicksand has become, and those spells have arrived. Fanjiji will not be so stupid as to exchange his life with the other party. Fanjiji, who did not send out quicksand, was backswept by Reiki, and a blood spewed out of his mouth. Good boy, you've been pretending to be stupid. Fanjus looked at Yekong with the small eyes resentfully, and the bloodshot on his teeth was shocking. Yekong sneered, I lied to you, you lied to me, everyone was each other. In fact, Yekong didn't want to fight this guy for you, and he said, Fanji Snake, we don't have so much hatred between us, why not? How about turning Gongan into a jade? I'm not sure to kill you, and you're not sure to kill me. It's better to shake hands and make peace, everyone live in peace and not violate each other. The 5 principles are to be good friends. Haha, you want to be beautiful? Fanjosa laughed and shouted, tell you, Lao Tzu's practice of cultivating immortals is the kind that uses others as a stove, and let me break through. Are you really sure you killed me? Yekong asked, and then he said, oh, brother Fan, I forgot to tell you that when I went out, I asked the brothers Lu to take someone to arrest your brother, your wife, your son, and your father in Lingxian's hometown, for so long, I think, should I catch it? Yekong said faintly, his tone was very flat, without a trace of fireworks, I still take care of them. If at night, I have not returned, then send them on the road, kill them from childhood, brother Fan, what do you think? Hello, despicable, Fanji Snake uttered a few words in his teeth. He did not expect that this teenage boy was so fierce that he took Fan's family up and down while they were out of town. Yekong laughed with a negative hand, I was originally a hooligan, playing with such hooligan means is justified. Maybe you don't know how arrogant those masters and slaves are when they go up and down Yefu, but now they see me, who dare not bow their heads. You welcome to call Master 8? I am grateful if I do nt provoke others. Forgive me, if you do nt know my character, everyone will stop and go back to the city now, just as if nothing happened. What? Fanjiji's eyes flickered. He used to use this trick to coerce others, but he did not expect that he would be tied to his loved ones. Ha ha ha. Fanji suddenly looked up and laughed, Shizu. Are you so deceived when I am? Is it so easy for the Dragon Snake Gang to be captured? Just by how many brothers in Lu's hands? No, no, of course, Yekong shook his fingers. I went with the brothers of the Lu family, as well as my soldiers in Ye family, and people who would be invisible. Do you think this is enough? Too savvy kid doesn't grow up, Fanjuj. He glared at Yekong. He didn't expect that he would be deceived by this child after he had mixed his whole life. I don't need to worry about you, how about it? Think about it, Yekong asked. Fanjuji took a look, and smiled bitterly, my parents, brother, wife, and children are in your hands, what else? Haha, let's go back to the city. Yekong walked over with a smile. Haha, let's go. Fanjuji also greeted him. But at the same time, when both people showed innocent smiles on humans and animals, they acted like an appointment and launched an attack at the same time. Yekong once again threw out a lot of spells, and Fanjuji even threw both palms in a row, and several fireballs smashed into Yekong. With Shadow Dance, Yekong flashed the fireball easily and sneered, it turns out you don't care about your family's life. Fanjuji laughed, in fact, you have no intention of letting it go at all. Then eat some more me. Fanjosa laughed, just now he accidentally hit 2 signs, and found that the thing was useless at all. As long as his spiritual power moved quickly in his body, all abnormalities disappeared immediately. 9 snakes will pick you up a few times. No spells, how small a worm is. After Fanjuji said, his chunky body didn't move like a mountain, and Renfuxian hit him with a fire. Haha, do you want to hurt Fanjuj? He laughed, but suddenly, he felt a tingling in his chest. Looking down, a dagger reflecting the blue cold light, stuck in his chest, blood oozing out, flowing on his clothes, turned black. I don't know how the 5 poisonous weeds taste, Yekong sneered, while throwing the spell just now, he also caught the poisonous dagger in it. I've been fooled again, Fanjis gritted his teeth and pulled out his dagger. He patted the storage bag and didn't know what to eat. If Fanjoshi only wanted to catch Yekong alive at the beginning, now he has already killed his heart. Even if he can't absorb the kid's skill, he must kill. This ingenuity and viciousness make Fanjoshi fear him. Let you see what the power of middle-level charms is, Firebird Rune. Fanjoji already had his eyes red, and he threw out the secret weapon. This Firebird charm was bought by him in Fangxi many years ago, and it took 20 spirit stones. Use. The middle-ranked amulet of this inferior product really was amazingly powerful. 108 firebirds appeared out of thin air, shouting loudly, as if the fierce bird had just come out of the prison cage, covering the sky and rushing towards Yekong. Not good, Yekong Zhon was startled. He did not expect that Fanjija had such a powerful magic charm. He quickly dodged, but those flaming birds turned into a stagnation in the air, and they sang in unison again, changing their direction and shooting towards Yekong. With tracking and positioning, Yekong knew he was in danger. This time, he came to the Kangnan continent. The most dangerous one was 108 other firebirds. As long as he hit one, he would be caught. The bones were burnt. Yekong rushed madly towards the woods, hoping to follow the shadow of the trees and consume some of the flamingos. But those flamingos are as fast as the fire meteor, and the speed is also amazingly fast. Yekong heard the shouting of the back of his head getting closer and closer. He didn't wait for him to rush into the woods, and the flamingo already caught up with him. Damn, just die, Yekong knew he was trying to escape, and closed his eyes simply. But as soon as the eyes were closed, the call of the firebird became clearer. The call seemed orderly, but disordered. The call of 108 firebirds converged, like a complicated chorus. One after another, the tide is rippling. Rhythm. Yekong's mind suddenly appeared two words. Yes, these firebird calls are also rhythmic, since there are blank spots in rhythm, no matter how dense the frequency, there is a gap in the middle. At the moment of life and death, Yekong even realized the rhythm of the rhythm, and saw him suddenly go out to sea like a dragon, rising to the sky, only the rhythm of the firebird in his mind, turning and jumping with the action of shadow dance. At that moment, Yekong had forgotten himself, forgotten that he was an individual, as if it were just a feather in the sky, no weight, no direction, but just following the breeze. It seemed like a boat drifting with the waves in the tide, no matter how big and strong the wind waves are, as long as they follow the waves, they will always step on the waves. Fanjiji took a look and saw Yekong suddenly jumped up and ran, interspersed among the flamingos, and those flamingos were like his domestic ones, flying around him, just not hitting get on him. Boom, the magical power of the Firebird rune flew into the air, and the Firebird instantly turned into a ball of fire smoke, all dissipating in the air. Yekong stood in the middle of the grass without any damage. The Firebird charm can't hurt him. Fanjiji saw his ghost and ran to the horse tied to the woods. Now you want to escape? No way, Yekong yelled, flying and rushing up, like an off-string arrow, chopping off the air. His fist slammed out, although he couldn't spell, but the punch was strong enough of boom. With a loud noise, Fanjija was blown out, but he was all right. Yekong, the beating man, bit his teeth in pain, and saw his right fist, his flesh blurred. When I went to see Fanjiji, I saw his body glowing with golden light. The light was like a thin layer of mist, wrapping him, even his face was a little fuzzy. Haha, you can't kill me, or let's make peace here. Just now you didn't say anything, pull hands to be a good friend. Fanjiji climbed from the ground and said. Yekong stamped himself with a hemostatic, and looked coldly at Fanjiji. Say peace? Think beautiful. You've made me hot. Then what do you want to do? Do you have the ability to break my golden light body protection? Kid who can't spell, Fanjiji said sarcastically. It can't be broken, but Yekong paused for a while and said, I can hold you and see how long this golden light can last for you. He finished with a smile, at least until dark, you go up and down, the family is dead. Fanjija was said to be the key, and roared, I fight with you. When he finished speaking, he rushed forward, and punched Yekong with his fist and punched his body. Yekong ignored him, but just avoided, the firebirds could hide, not to mention Fanjiji's fist. Fanjiji's punches were invalid, and he turned away, but Yekong followed closely, slamming his head with the stones he picked. Fanjij, he secretly exclaimed. He originally had 3 layers of chi, and his spiritual power was very weak. Supporting this golden light body protection technique was very reluctant. When he was hit by a stone, the spiritual power flowed out crazy. If he was allowed to slap in the back, I am afraid that the tea time will not hold up. I'll go to your mother. Fanjiji supported Jingguang's body, gave up some spiritual power, and sent out a fireball. The fireball stopped Yekong. Fanjiji took the time to jump on his horse. Yekong snorted, took out a fixed rune, and put it on the horse's forehead. Boom, Fanjiji overturned with the horse, and he didn't know he had to lift the sign. He thought the horse was dead, so he had to grab another horse. Yekong had expected it, and it was also a fixed rune, and the other horse fell over. Don't you just have to kill everything? Being a man to stay on the line, you will inevitably have such a time. Fanjiji ran away hopelessly and hummed angrily. Yekong smiled dismissively, being alive and staying on the line? Your mother knows now? What did you do earlier? Let you stop provoking me and tell you. My personality is that you must either do it or do it. Then you're waiting, Fanjiji snorted, sitting on the grass cross-legged with his big sleeves, and with his other hand he found a handful of colorful stones from the storage bag to replenish his spirit. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 39. Chapter 38. It should be said that the 20 spirit stones that Fanjiji took out did not come easily. Although the brothers of the Fan family have accumulated a lot of silver in Nandu City these years, the thing of spirit stone cannot be bought by silver. As a mortal, if you have more money, it is not easy to buy a spiritual stone from a cultivator. The cultivator has extraordinary abilities. There are too many opportunities to engage in silver, and he doesn't care at all. How can he exchange spiritual stones for silver? Fanjuji's dozens of spirit stones also came by chance. It happened that a Xianxian family had a prodigal son without a spiritual root. The boy ate, gambled, and owed a debt outside. Known by Fanjulong, he came forward and gave him a lot of money. In return, the prodigal stole the dozens of spirit stones from his family. Fanjuju's treasure has been reluctant to use for a long time. Today's life is at stake, that's how it came out. Spirit stone has many functions. First of all, this is the currency used by the immortals to trade. It is used like mortal silver. Generally speaking, how many spirit stones are in the mouth of everyone, that refers to the inferior spirit stones in the hands of Fanjuji. 100 high-quality spirit stones can be exchanged for 1 medium-quality spirit stone, and 100 medium-quality spirit stones is equal to 1 high-quality spirit stone. Of course, the theory is so. In fact, the top-grade spirit stone is very rare. 100 middle-grade spirit stone is far less than 1 top-grade spirit stone. As for the best spiritual stone, it belongs to the fetish. This world has almost disappeared, and thousands of years have not heard of the existence of the best spiritual stone. Besides, the second role of the spirit stone is that many formations require the spirit stone as the formation eye. In short, it requires the energy provided by the spirit stone. With the spirit stone, the formation can run. The third role of the spirit stone is to absorb the aura. The aura contained in the spirit stone is very pure, far better than the aura in the air. Even if the aura is abundant, it cannot keep up with the aura provided by the spirit stone. Fanjiji took out the spirit stone, the purpose was the third one. He supported the golden light body protection method, and his aura could not be supplied at all. So he had to take out the spirit stone to supplement the aura, in order to confront Yekong for a long time. Seeing Fanjija helplessly took out the strong stone, Yekong smiled and said, "Brother Fan, there are a lot of spirit stones. I'd like to see, how long can you hold the spirit stone in your hands?" Fanjuji ignored him, sitting cross-legged in the grass, holding a spirit stone in his hand, as if asleep. Although this golden light body protection method consumes spiritual power, if it is not attacked, the cost is also limited. Of course, Yekong wouldn't let him meditate so comfortably, and went to find stones again, and slammed on Fanjuji continuously. The golden light was twisted and twisted, but there was no sign of smashing. After smashing for a while, Yekong was a bit weak, and he didn't want to continue to expend his energy to do this useless work. He simply moved a big rock and sat up opposite Fanjuji. "You have to waste it, okay, but he has plenty of time. Anyway, the person who waits for death is not my relative." Yekong laughed. At this time, it was born to turn black, and the sun was no longer visible. The last light shone to light up the sky, and the spirit stone in Fan Jishao's hand was also consumed. Of course, Yekong would not cultivate in front of the enemy, looked up at the sky, and said lightly, "Fanjuji, the sky is going to be dark, it is better that we discuss it." Fanjuji opened his eyes and looked at Yekong, only to hear him say again, "This incident is purely your bad intentions. As long as you free up your skills and hand over the recipe for cultivation, I will leave you and your family dead." Fanjuji listened, sneered, and laughed. "People who are immortal are most afraid of being out of touch. You may kill my family. I don't need to worry about them in the future. Maybe I will practice more in the future. It's fast." Yekong shook his head. "You merciless and beastly animals, even if they die, do you think you can escape?" Fanjuji smiled mysteriously, difficult to say. As soon as he laughed, Yekong suddenly felt a bit of a bad feeling, but he didn't wait for him to move, and the abnormality appeared. He was sitting cross-legged on the edge of the big stone, and suddenly out of the air, 4 thick green legs with human legs stretched out. The pillars were mottled and rough, as if they were suddenly growing trees. When the pillars were raised, countless vines sprang up on the ground between the pillars. Those vines grew extremely crazy, and soon surrounded the leaves. Yekong was startled and didn't know what it was. He raised his hand and took out a dagger from his sleeve, and severely chopped the vine. Unexpectedly, the vine was so strong that it was cut with a single knife, and it only cut the vine skin, and from the vine skin, a number of thick vines with thick thumbs were cut, and it can be said that the more vines are cut. "Haha, don't waste your efforts," Fanjuji laughed wildly. "Boy, tell you, this is the inferior middle grade spirit grass P. vulgaris. Although this thing is not lethal, it is sleepy. But it is a must, even if the immortals come, it is difficult to get out of trouble. Do you think I was meditating and wasting time just now? You were wrong. I was just sucking my aura to nourish the seeds of this grass, and then it suddenly grew. Are you fooled? Little fox, you can't fight the old hunter after all." Fanjuja laughed madly in the afternoon, watching the green square cage in front of him grow impervious. He turned around, and was very relieved. Fanjuja, let me out." Yekong gave up chopping vines and scolded in this square black room. "Fanjuji, what kind of thing are you? What kind of skill are you trapping me, you? Can you kill me? Come on." "Haha, of course I can kill you. If I can't kill you, I will starve to death. Then your family will die in the end. Come and kill me." "I won't say it, just die, I will avenge them." Fanjuyan smiled. "This Nepenthe seed is left by the dead ghost monk, even if he was chased and killed last time I didn't want to use it. I used it on you this time. How can I not take advantage of it? Indeed, this species of Nepenthes has long been extinct, and it has been circulating in the storage bag of the ancient monk for thousands of years. Fanjuji is really treasured as a treasure and as the last straw for life. If it is not for life and death today, he will not use it. Since it is used, he must Yekong's skill. As for his parents, wife, and children, he does nt matter. Besides, it's probably too late to rush back now. It's better to Yekong's skill and break through the 4 layers of gas refining. Mark. As for opening the cage, he naturally had a way. The pitcher plant grows into a square green prison cage and no longer grows. The dense vines are tangled and intertwined with each other. Just like the 4 walls, the leaves are blocked inside, and even the tops are blocked by the vines. I didn't expect this fat man to have such abominable broken grass. Yekong hit with his fist, chopped it with a knife, dripped blood, spit, all the methods conceivable were used, but still no effect. You kind of came in and killed me, Yekong cursed. Haha, don't think I lied to you, I really have a way. Wait for me to dig a hole in this rattan wall, it's your death. Fanjuji smiled proudly, patted the storage bag, took out the small grey sword weapon, and cut the vine out. Pap means that the thick vine cut off at the sound, and the white juice was flowing from the fracture. Sure enough, this pitcher plant is only useful if it is a magic weapon. Fanjushi was very happy. Get Yekong, he already had an idea. Wouldn't this kid hide? How do you hide in this big square? When you will dig a hole the size of a fist, and then throw ice bombs into it, freezing him inside, you can catch this kid alive. Yekong inside was not idle, he couldn't cut the rattan, and suddenly thought, dig the ground. But he was disappointed again, and this pitcher plant was really sleepy. First class. The ground is harder than the wall, the rattan is thicker, as hard as ironstone. The dagger was cut off, and Mars splashed. Damn, are you waiting for death inside? Listening to the sound of burrowing outside in Lala, Yekong felt despair again. He shouted, Fanju snake. Are you trying to my aura? Are you anxious? I will suicide? See how you louds aura. Haha, you won't, Fanjuj. He laughed out loud. You are like me. You will never give up until the last minute. At the last minute, you still have to dying. Such a person will never suicide. You are not willing. Yekong snorted, damn, you know me. It seems that your enemy is the one who knows you best. This sentence is true. It was completely dark, and the moon had not yet risen. This was the darkest hour of the day. The sky was dark and the woods were like the shadow of a monster. This Nepenthes is well deserved, and it is as normal as a cage. The walls are not as thick and Fanjujhan did not ignite. He dug in while it was dark, although the small sword weapon dug the wall made of vines, but it's not that fast. But inch by inch, the thick vine wall was finally hollowed out, and Fanjuj slashed again, piercing his sword sharply. Get through, Fanjuji was excited in his heart, and his fingers were a little stunned. He yelled, boy, you're not going to die? Laozi will use your aura to break through the 4th layer of refining gas. I will be able to use the magic weapon at that time. Haha, tell you, the first thing Laozi I killed with the magic weapon. This is your ghostly old lady. Then there is a family named Lu. Seeing Yekong was about to die soon, but at the most critical time, he suddenly patted his brain, stupid, how can you not think of this? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 40. Chapter 39. Boy. Wait for death, Fanjoza laughed wildly, waving his hands against the hole in the vine wall, hitting ice bombs constantly. I saw that light blue flash of light flashed into the pitcher plant like a firefly. The ice bomb hit the wall and immediately condensed into a large ice cube. The temperature in the prison cage dropped instantly. However, Yekong already had a way out of the cage. He lifted his palm, and a yellow paper spell appeared in his hand. Haha, the fourth layer of refining gas. I am also going to the middle stage. Fanjuj was still daydreaming, throwing ice bombs into the hole like crazy. As long as he sucked Yekong's aura, he would advance. In the medium term, when the instrument is manipulated, the strength will increase greatly. Then I would congratulate Brother Fan in advance. Suddenly, a cold voice came from his side. Fanjushi felt so familiar. Turning his head to look, the moonlight had just risen, and Bai Liang's clear glow spilled into this open space in the woods. A young boy in a blue shirt stood proudly, mocking his face. You, Fanju's eyes widened unbelievably, and his fat face seemed to see a ghost, and said in his mouth, "How come out?" Yekong ignored him, seizing the favorable opportunity, holding a dagger, and stabbing at the throat of Fanju Snake. Fanji Snake had no defense or resistance, and the blade of the dagger, drawn a weird arc in the dark night, disappeared in Fanjuji's thick neck. Fanju's eyes were full of despair, unwillingness, and doubt before his death. Let you understand, there is a kind of symbol called a wall-breaking symbol, as long as it is a solid wall. Yekong was afraid that the fat man would not die. He pulled and stabbed and stabbed and stabbed again. In the moonlight, the blood was black and red, terrifying, and on the small grass, a dagger pierced constantly. Human voice. I do not know how many stabs. Fanju's head was separated from his body, his head fell to the ground, and he could not die anymore. Yekong was relieved. He panted, sitting just to relax for a while, and saw the storage bag hanging on Fanjuji's waist. In the end, it's a stranger. It's not yet proficient in killing and winning treasure. Yekong rushed over and pulled the storage bag over. There are not many things in the storage bag, but it makes Yekong ecstatic, because it is all he needs to cultivate a fairy bird. First of all, the most striking thing is the small sword weapon, which is a good Chinese weapon, and it is also the first time Yekong has obtained the weapon. The moment he held the small sword weapon, Yekong also realized the mood of Fanjuja. If you reach the fourth floor of gas refining, you can use it. Then, what attracted Yekong's eyeballs was the remaining spirit stone, which was wasted by Fanju, and only 4 were left in the small black cloth bag. This was Yekong's first time. Get the spirit stone. He was curious to bring a piece of black water-based spirit stone, about the size of fresh dates, flat square, polyhedron, a bit like extra-large rock candy. Yekong clenched the spirit stone, sucked the power, and a very pure water aura passed from the palm of his hand into the Kaijing 8 veins. This water aura was much purer and thicker than the aura in the air. Yekong didn't dare to more, and quickly put the spirit stone back into the storage bag. What attracted his attention were 2 square bamboo buckets the size of green mahjong. Yekong guessed that this was the spiritual card that stored the recipes of the exercises, and quickly took one, pinched it in his hands, and explored with divine knowledge. Destroying the Dafa to capture the Dafa is exactly what Fanjuji obtained from the remains of the ancient monk. Yekong took a brief look and found that it was basically useless to himself. He has practiced the 5 Elements Ascension Sutra, and it is impossible to spend time rebuilding the basic exercises, and this brutal practice is too cruel, and the furnace tripod is hard to find. Yekong probably looked at it and put it back in the storage bag. I looked at another spirit, and found that what was recorded in it was what Yekong needed most at the moment. There are several low-level magic spells, including Fireball, Ice Bomb, Quicksand, Sky Eye, and Exorcism. I will never be an immortal cultivator anymore. Yekong was so excited. These spells can be said to be his best harvest this time. After learning these spells, he has really set foot on the fairy path and is basically immortal. Is invincible. Yekong held the lingcam and couldn't bear to put it back. He looked in the storage bag and found that in addition to the dried meat, there was a charm inside. This rune is completely different from Yekong's yellow paper rune. This is a magic rune. It is the same width as the rune, but shorter in length. It is white, and I do not know what material it is. The front of Fu is written in the ancient text of the Kangnan continent, spiritual formation. This is an array of symbols. Yekong was shocked. This was also one of the items he was looking for. The name was the array method used to practice meditation, so that he would not need to worry about being interrupted when he practiced at home. No wonder everyone in this continent likes to kill and win treasures. It's really easy to come. Everything you need is available. Yekong laughed and went to the storage bag to see the booty. But this time, no other valuable things were found, that is, a pile of silver piled in the corner of the bag, and it looked like 2002. Although there is a lot of silver, Yekong doesn't take it at all. As an immortal, what silver is he worried about? Putting the array of symbols into the storage bag, Yekong could not wait to learn the fireball technique. With the spiritual mechanics, it didn't take much effort at all. In the time of a column of incense, he could send out a small fireball smoothly. A few small fireballs were dropped on the body of Fanju snake, and the body was immediately burned clean. After Yekong cleaned the battlefield, he suddenly saw the pitcher plant still standing in the middle of the grass. He suddenly lighted up. Since it is a low-grade spirit grass, isn't the juice in it just enough to make a magic charm? With this idea, Yekong took out the small sword again, and chopped into the pitcher plant for a while. It's just that Yekong can't chop the whole cage grass, so I have to chop as much as possible. After chopping for a while, the side wall of the pitcher plant was cut down and divided into 3 pieces before it could be stuffed into the storage bag. After finishing all this work, the moon is already empty. Yekong is worried about Nandu City, and dare not delay, hurry back. At night, the woods were dark and there was no reference. It was easy to get lost, but fortunately, the horse of Fanjuji knew the way. Yekong rode on the horse and let the old horse go out of the wood. He didn't know how long he had gone, and finally saw the red mangrove forest, and he was completely relieved. The Kangnan continent is different from the earth. The plants here are not all grown by photosynthesis. For example, this mangrove tree is grown by aura. This tree is red throughout, and at night, it emits red dark light. The whole forest looked as if it were on fire. Looking at it, magnificent and brilliant. It looks like the color is fire aura. I don't know if it can be absorbed by the immortal. Sitting on the horse Yekong, he folded a section of red branches and found that he couldn't absorb the aura at all. It's dim. It doesn't seem to work, otherwise those cultivators will be rushing to cut down the trees. The woods are very big. It took 2 hours when I came in the morning, and it took about the same time to go out, until the moon went down. The sky was bright, and Yekong went to the edge of the mangrove. Before leaving the woods, I saw a lot of people walking slowly in the woods. Yekong looked at it, and it turned out to be Ye family soldiers. Lu Changqing, Yekong shouted, welcoming him up. When the relatives saw Yekong, they cheered. Master 8 is back. The sound of waves passed out. On the prairie, the girl standing in the middle of thousands of candle grass heard the news and suddenly shouted Brother Yekong, rushed in the direction of the voice. Yekong stepped off the horse and stepped out with Lu Changqing side by side, listening to him telling the situation of the south capital. In the morning, Yekong Gong and Fan Zhuxi left the city. Someone came back to report there. The Lu family brothers joined Lu Changqing and his soldiers immediately surrounded the family's residence. They had already made it clear that Fan Zhulong did not go to Zhangchun Tower this day, but there were many masters of martial arts in the Fan family's courtyard. If they attacked, they would be killed or injured, and they might have the involvement of Chen Xiaofu during the day. Although Nandu Chengxiao is the one arranged by Ye Harem, it can't be too much, and he is not familiar with Yekong at all. they may not give face. However, Yekong had already thought of this, and let Lu Qin sneak in with an invisibility, opened the back door of Fanfu, and everyone killed him. Lu Qin's little girl was also daring, and took advantage of the invisibility and wall penetrator to enter the hall where Fan Zhulong was located, trying to rob him. But who knows that Fan Zhulong has been more mindful since the last assassination attempt by Yekong, and has set up an organ behind his seat. As soon as he steps on it, there will be a net bag to catch people. Lu Qin's little girl didn't pay attention, stepped on it, but fortunately, she followed Yekong to learn a lot of shadow dance martial arts, and turned over and popped out before the net bag closed. The frightened Fan Zhulong and his subordinates knew that they were coming. They slashed in the house with swords and slashed. The little girl was almost injured, but in the end, she stuck a deity rune on Fan Zhulong's forehead and ended the battle. Very capable, Yekong said with a smile. Yes, the little girl did a great job this time. Lu Changqing nodded, and then whispered to Yekong, Master 8, her charms are really amazing. Is she a fairy? Can you let the little Bela girl? Where is the teacher? Worship her as a teacher, Yekong laughed. As soon as he looked up, he saw Lu Qin stepping on his calf, and Xiao Lu ran at the same time. He laughed. Then you should tell her yourself. Brother Yekong. The little girl was worried all night. At this moment, when she saw Yekong, she was so excited that she rushed over without shyness. She rushed to the front and found Lu Changqing and others standing next to her. Lu Qin stopped the car again. Looking at the pretty face of the little girl, there were still a few teardrops of excitement, and she even determined that she would not provoke her, and there was an unending ripple in her heart. Lu Changqing obeys orders. Turn backwards, Yekong yelled. Lu Changqing laughed. Back to the generals, the enemy is fierce. The young people are not a general. They are simply left for the general to attack. I will go back to camp and cook. That's not going yet. Haha, brothers, go to Zhangchun Tower, Master 8 treats. The soldiers heard that Zhangchun Tower ran away in a blink of an eye. Yekong opened his sleeves and made a hug gesture to Lu Qin. The little girl blushed, lowered her head for a while, and finally resisted the temptation of her sweetheart's chest. She stepped forward and gently hugged Yekong. Well, Sin, I've fallen in love too. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 41. Chapter 40. Love. The grassland air in the early morning was exceptionally fresh. Looking at it at a glance, the greenness seemed to come to the painting. The distant mountains were faint, there was a little smoke from the smoke, and a herd boy drove a few beasts to graze. Sight. A pair of juvenile jade men are nestling on the grass like a plush carpet, and Yekong caresses Lu Qin's thin and warm back, and asks, I heard you did great work this time. Lu Qin was embarrassed. Everything was done by them. I almost got caught. I just want to say this thing, how dangerous it is. You are bold enough to take it? After you enter, you do know the enemy's situation, you do observe the environment, and you make mistakes. What happens if something goes wrong? Listening to Yekong's concerns, Lu Qin did not refute, but quietly affixed to Yekong, smiling slightly. This is not allowed in the future, Yekong said. I see, Lu Qin answered crisply, but he was thinking, for fear of brother Yekong, about this danger. Yekong sighed, but fortunately, nothing happened to Lu Qin, otherwise he was so relieved. What a nice little girl. What about the fans? Yekong asked again. All killed. Lu Qin thought of the murder, a little shuddering, and drilled into Yekong's arms, and said, I didn't kill them at the beginning, and took them all to an old house outside the city, and then my brother and them he took people everywhere to receive the dragon and snake gangs. The dragon and snake gangs were dissatisfied with the Fan family brothers. When they heard that Fan Zhulong was arrested, they also volunteered. It was dark until night, and it was dark. I found that you haven't returned yet. My brother and General Lu were in a hurry. According to your arrangement, one pillar of incense was cut, and the last fan Julong was also cut in the middle of the night. Now. Well. Ye Kong sighed, saying that the people of the Kangnan mainland were cruel and ruthless, killing and destroying the door, which is not uncommon. As a traverser, only 2 years later, he had already destroyed one door. From the heart, Ye Kong is not a cruel generation, especially for innocent old children. He can't give up that hand, but he can't be too kind. If you let him go today, he will kill you tomorrow. You give him stay alive, he will come to kill you all the time. Ye Kong absolutely does not allow this kind of thing to happen, so the Fan family must be cut off. Lu Qin, thinking about the killing scene at the time, couldn't help but spit out his pink tongue, and then said, "You haven't come back after killing people, and everyone is worried again. When it's midnight, you can't help it? I want to come out to find you, but the grassland is too big, and I am afraid of getting lost in the forest." Thinking that everyone had waited all night, Ye Kong was in a better mood. Although the Kangnan mainland was indifferent and cruel, some people still worry about themselves and care about themselves. "Watch out softly, did you stay up all night?" Lu Qin replied, "Of course, you don't come back, you don't know how worried I am." Speaking of this, I felt a little embarrassed and couldn't say, a pair of beautiful eyes dodging and lowered their heads. On the grassland, all kinds of weird grasses were covered with drops of green dew. In the reflection of the crystal dew, you can see the young jade people, who are close together. "Brother Ye Kong, tell me about your situation." Lu Qin, who tasted sweet for the first time, had a satin-like red face, and did not dare to look up, and quickly shifted the subject to ask. "Well, okay, I can't really come back this time." Ye Kong took 2 breaths of fresh air. In fact, Ye Kong had tasted it when he was on the earth, but as a street bum, what good girls are in contact with him? They are all too young girls or young ladies, female bums. There is no shortage of women, but never tasted the taste of love. With Lu Qin, the persistence in his heart faded a little, but after thinking about it, he still resisted the next move. Then, Ye Kong told himself about the fight of Fanjija, saying that the little girl was nervous, and she shook the mole under the corner of her mouth from time to time, staring at the beautiful eyes, for fear of missing the wonderful part. But this time there are gains, there are magical instruments, and spirit stones, and the spells I am missing. Ye Kong took the spirit stones out of the storage bag and showed Lu Qin. "It looks good. The girls all have different hobbies about shiny things, and they can't stop watching the spirit stone. This is not good looking. This is a spiritual stone. It has a lot of effects on the cultivator," Ye Kong said with a smile. Riding on a horse with Lu Qin, the two walked leisurely towards the southern capital. How clear the sky is, how soft the white clouds are, Ye Kong is also rippling in the feeling of love. It feels more like a tourist if there is a DV in hand. However, the good mood did not last for a long time. When the two of them rode into the city, a younger brother of the Lu family brother hurriedly greeted him. "No, Master 8, the brothers are on the top of the city guard house." Ye Kong frowned, thinking something was wrong, and asked, "Where, what is it?" After listening to the younger brother's report, Ye Kong only knew that everyone had worked hard this night. The brothers of the Lu family moved a lot of silver in Fan Julong's nest. Under Lu Changqing's flicker, a large group of soldiers and bandits killed Tibet. Chunlu, ready to add some energy to those women. But this Kangnan continent is the same as the earth. The ladies are active at night. During the day just dawns. It is when the ladies are sleeping that the Tibetan spring house has not opened the door at all. Those bandits have a rare opportunity to come here to try something new, for fear that the next big boss will be reluctant, forcing the Tibetan Chunlu to open the door. Everyone did not communicate well. Zhang Chunlu thought these people were here to make trouble. This bar is noisy on. Later, Lu Changqing came forward to talk and found that it was a misunderstanding. Everyone made it clear, but who knows, at this time, a Cheng bite gold. The squad leader of Xianxia came with a bunch of arrests. It is said that the people under the brothers of the Lu family disturbed the law and order, and they wanted to take someone back to talk, so everyone agreed. Already. Ye Kong frowned, and said in his heart that these militants were obviously okay to find anything, and they saw that Lu Changqing and the Ye family were there, and they dared to be so tough, apparently for another purpose. Xiao Qin, you go back to rest first, I'll see what's going on. Ye Kong sent Lu Qin away, and hurried to the Tibetan spring house with his younger brother. After a while, Ye Kong arrived, and saw the crowd outside, and outside the crowd there were several soldiers standing outside the Tibetan spring building. There was no idea what was going on, but there was no sound of killing. Ye Kongli was a little safe, and he asked the younger brother to pull the horse. He got into the crowd and listened to the conversations of the merchants and residents. This is Chen Xingtian, the newcomer, to give these a kick. I heard that this new Chen Xingtian is amazing. Ye Kong nodded, and he dared to come to a new city guard to kill the mighty bats, but this guy just messed up with Ye's house. Obviously there was a backstage. Thinking deeply, the emperor sent such a person to Nandu city. I am afraid that it is against Ye Hao, but Ye's prospects are not so good. Ye Kong inquired clearly, no longer hesitated, pushed away the crowd and went out. The soldier who guarded the door saw, Master 8 is here, and quickly let Ye Kong go in. When I entered the hall, I saw a stand-up man standing on the left and right. On the left, Ye Jiabingding and Lu Jia were dominated. On the right, the black and white uniforms were dressed in black and white. Master 8, these martial arts bullies are too bullying. Really, her mother-in-law takes mice. If not, I would be the slaves of the barbarians when they stormed down the river and mountains. Lu Changqing greeted him and said half of them were facing martial arts. Again they scolded. Okay, Ye Kong pushed Lu Changqing away and walked in front of Wu Yi, smiling. Take a few people back for questioning? I'm afraid the person Chang Cheng wants to take is me.